should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
Sounds good. What up? What's happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and I'm pumped about this next guest. On the phone line is comedian Mark Viera. What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? How you doing, Hoppe? Everything good?
I'm doing great, man. I love your comedy, dude. I think you're one of the most underrated comics out there, and I love how you speak the truth, dude.
I always do, man. I always do.
Do you think in 2016 that it's getting bad that we have to face the whole phenomenon of fake outrage?
Yeah. I mean, as a comic, we're less sensitive to all the other, all the nonsense. We digest it differently. So yeah, I think that's just ridiculous at this point, man.
Do you ever get nervous when you're up there performing that you might get a Snapchat or somebody might Periscope you saying something that they might take offensive and then the media might catch on to that?
I really don't, because I'm not being opinionated when I'm on stage. I'm giving my take. It's almost like the way I see things, and you can't really condemn somebody for giving you their views. That's what we have as individuals. We have our views, and so I have people who tell me, look, I do jokes about my teenage son and my kids. People don't have kids at my show. But it doesn't matter. I'm telling my story. Richard Pryor used to talk about smoking crack, right? I mean, I never smoked crack. I thought it was hysterical,
Would you say that your comedy is basically you being yourself and you're never overcompensating then?
Never. That I think that's why it works. Honestly, I think that's the reason why it works, man. I don't really pretend any of the issues that I talk about. They're all real stuff that happens really, in real time in my house. And then I get a chance to use the crowd as my therapy to get through it,
Yeah, because I hate the comics that try to put on this act of being a hard ass or being a ladies' man. To me, the best comics, Mark, are the ones that are just being themselves.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's obvious that, what the people don't know is, when you get on stage, you have to multiply who you are by a certain number, depending on how you feel that day is the number. But because you're a performer, but it should be the base of it, at the core of it all should be the real you,
So how far have you come in comedy? Like, have you always been this real, genuine guy, or have you learned to be that type of personality over the years?
Yeah. Definitely a over the years kind of thing, man. You wind up, comics wind up searching for the truth.
Yeah.
Their own personal truth, and that's really been my story. I really say this with all my heart. I really didn't know what the hell I was doing until I started to kind of talk about my marriage on stage, and it seemed like some of this, the realer it was, the more real it was, the more people came to me after the show and said, man, it's like you're looking in my house, and that's a cool compliment, because I feel like I don't want to be relatable. I just want us to understand that we're all struggling about the same thing, relationships, period. It's not about what's relatable, because you and me, we may not argue about the same things, but we argue. And that's what makes us joined at the hip, if you will, in a relationship. Guy, girl, gay. It doesn't matter, man. Love is it's trial and error every day. Trial and error.
Has your wife ever gotten mad that you use her as material on the show?
Absolutely. I've caught hell many a night over it, But again, I think the way she sees it now is that he's telling the truth. If he were lying about me, then I'd really be pissed. But I tell the truth, man. Whenever it is that I really go on a rant on stage about it, I'm coming from such a wholesome place, such a place of what the hell is going on,
Yeah.
What's going on around me? That trying to just love somebody is almost impossible sometimes, man.
What I like about you is you come off really genuine and like you care about this business. Am I right about that?
Oh man, I say that to young comics all the time, man. And my wife will absolutely attest to it. Comedy is my girlfriend. It's my side chick. If not, it's it's who I'm married to. My wife's my side chick to comedy. That's on any given day, we can argue that. But yeah, man, I love what I do, and I love comedy. And if someone says something or does something to hurt it, it hits me in a very sore place. Like, I really hate that when guys come off stage and go, man, I hate this shit, or I hate this. Man, I get angry. I'm like, well, comedy will only love you if you love it back, or vice versa. You can't it's not just going to give you. You have to love doing this, and then you'll see some stuff.
Where did your passion for comedy come from? Was this a thing that kind of came out of nowhere, or did you grow up loving comedy?
No, I've always loved comedy, man. I've always loved comedy, but this kind of passion for it is just, it grows on you when this is what you do every single day. I do this every single day. Yeah, I take no breaks. I don't go on a hiatus to write. I'm not there. I just continuously go on stage and perform, and so when you're that close to it, it becomes everything to you. It becomes and I start to see the notes. I tell people it's like when a singer hears another singer sing something great. They don't hear the music, they see the notes. And I see the notes with comedy. When I see another comic on stage, I'm trying to figure out what he's doing,
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying the show. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? What is he talking about? What's there?
Who are some comics that you like to watch?
I think the guys that I think all of us just enjoy. Like, I love, watching Bill Burr at work.
Oh,
Donald
yeah.
Rawlings, the Gaffigans and tirelessly you can watch kind of Chris Rock just come up with great stuff, those guys, they're just great examples. I haven't seen Dave Chappelle in his resurgence to comedy, but I hear great things. I just haven't seen it with my own eyes just yet. But those guys, Louis C.K., man, they bring it. And I'll be honest with you, I watched this guy, Sebastian Maniscalco.
I've heard about him. Isn't he on Netflix?
Yeah, I don't think it's on Netflix just yet. It's on Showtime. It's running on Showtime as we speak. On any given night, I think either on demand or, if you look at the schedule.
Yeah.
But I watched his special and I really, really gravitated to it because he really lives in his act. He's not just doing jokes and ha-has, he's really living it and embodying it. Such a breath of fresh air, I really fell in love with the guy, and I only seen him that one time on his, late night watching his special, like on a Monday night,
With your passion for comedy, how do you watch it without accidentally taking the acts? You know what I mean? Because if you watch it so much, I feel like you would end up emulating these acts a little bit,
Well, not particularly, because it's almost like I kind of compare comedy to boxing. We're in there. No matter how much tutelage you get, you still got to go on stage by yourself. No matter how much you train with 20 guys, you still got to go in the ring by yourself. We're always on stage alone. We're always trying to figure it out. I don't worry about material being stolen because I come from a different place. I'm coming from the heart. And so if something sounds similar, I'll take that. But I'm not stealing jokes. But, there's something called parallel thinking.
Yeah.
And I know there's a guy out there named Steve Trevino. He's actually a really good friend of mine. He's only been married about 3 or 4 years, and he talks about his marriage. But we're not the same. We're so different. I'm married 20. He's married 3, It's a completely different look on relationships, So, so there's some parallel stuff there, and we've performed together and we've watched each other's sets, and he goes, man, I was thinking that the other day. I'm glad you did that. And that's just how it goes, though. That's kind of just how it goes. But he talks about the way he was raised in Texas. I'm a Bronx guy from New York City. There's no way that we're similar. There's no way. So I don't even worry about that. I really don't. I swear to you, if I wrote something that sounded similar or what it was totally accidental. There is no way that I could watch Maz Jobrani do a set and I could take that. There's no way. There's no way. We're just two different sides of the earth when it comes to stand up. So.
Now, going back to you saying that you're never really taking a break and you're always writing jokes, how often do you come up with new material and how do you do it?
The way I do this is I'll write the premise, I'll perform it, then I go back and finish it. That's kind of how I write. And the stuff I'm doing now grows every show. So it may just be a tagline. It just may be an inflection. But all those things, they mean so much to a storyteller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not if I was just doing a joke and I changed one word, but an inflection, the way I drop an F-bomb in the middle of my set, man, sometimes that makes a difference. It makes the biggest difference.
How often do you swear, or do you try to keep it more clean?
I try to keep it. I try not so much neutral, and it depends on the night. I'm a nightclub act, so sometimes on the late show I make no excuses, like the late show Friday, the late show Saturday, and the crowd is very giving. I may just go all the way. I may swear like a sailor. I mean, it doesn't matter.
How do you deal with hecklers? Like if they get really raunchy at, let's say, a nightclub.
I try to deal with it. I try to deal with it myself, depending on the scenario. I try to deal with it pretty much. I try not to get security involved. I try to let the heckler know that I'm in charge, It's the people that are completely and utterly, out of control that need to get kicked out, where they feel they're either funnier than you or, they had so much to drink, they don't even know where they are. Those are the people that you don't have to be at my show if you don't want to. I'm okay with that.
There's nothing worse, dude, than the girls who are in a pack, about 7 of them, and they all go for a girls' night out, and they go to a comedy show, and they ruin it for everybody because they get offended. It's like, go somewhere else, and you're at a comedy show. Of course you might get a little bit offended. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the worst.
I said, I talk about things. I had a lady at a show just burst out crying. Just crying. I'm not crying like I killed her. Not crying like, like sniffling. She was bawling because I talk about being married and she just got divorced. How am I supposed to know that?
Like, how are you supposed to know? Some girl you've never met. You don't even know her name. How is she supposed to act like you're supposed to know that she's going through rough times? Dude, trust me, she's bad crap crazy.
Absolutely. And all my stuff is lighthearted. There's nothing that I do on stage that is so rough, that you would have to stand and go, this is ridiculous. The guy is he's tearing the woman apart. That's not true. You know what I mean? That's not my take. My take is, as much as I love my family and everything, everybody's fucking off the hook. It's hard to deal with all this. It's a hot mess. That's really what it is.
Would you say you're a comic that tries to respect women and not be so demeaning? Because a lot of these comics out there that are so edgy, I feel like they look down on women,
Absolutely, man. There's no way that I could have any level of success with what I'm talking about if I was being demeaning. You know what I mean? I say it all the time. Like my plight on stage is, I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure it out. That's what it is, and it's everything. It's top to bottom, I'm laying down on the sofa and she comes in and loses control, I'm just laying down, and you know what I mean? But for guys, it's just like, I know I just laid down and she's off on a rant, he doesn't do shit around here, where, that kind of thing. So I don't think people can take that as offensive, if you will.
Now, let's say you go up there and you read the crowd. Do you ever do it where maybe you change your act because you see the demographic might not like a certain set?
Yeah, I could change gears, and I have, but I try not to. I try to tell my story my way, and I may switch some gears and maybe start differently. But I think my when I get to the comedy club, what I want to do is I want to start where I start, and I want to end where I want to end. Does that mean that it's a script? Absolutely not. I can definitely change some things around, but for the most part, I'm just trying to tell my story.
Now, what is the best thing that you talk about up there? Is it your wife? Is it your kids? What is the topic that you're most proud of that you talk about?
I mean, it's all stuff that I'm proud of. It really is. I mean, I love my kids. I love my family. The stuff about my wife is it just hits home with everyone. It really does. And so I have to say, I do a joke about us going out, and my wife puts on this thing called Spanx. It's like a bodysuit, and I just love the joke because it comes from such a real thing where guys don't even know what the hell that thing is that she has on, and it's such a mystery to us. So I just love that joke, How did you first meet your wife? I was working in the city, and her brother was beaten almost to death.
Wow.
And and I was, she had come. I was a cop, and she had come, to the hospital, and I was a part of the whole scenario.
Did you ever think during that time that she would end up being your wife, or did you just think that this was some random thing that happens in life?
No, I think it's just very random. I think, at some point when we were dating, I was like, well, we could, I could definitely marry her. I had put down on an engagement ring and all of that. And that you just don't see it when you meet somebody. You know, it just happens. It just kind of happens. You go, man, I like you, and I think I could like you for a long time.
Now, I'm 22 years old, and I had my first girlfriend for about the last 2 months, and I broke up with her just for a few reasons on Friday. What should I do? Should I keep doing the thing of being single and just pursuing radio, or is a girl worth it? Because, dude, I don't know if I'm going to ever want to get married, man. I'm just so selfish, bro, that I want things to be about me. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, dude.
Well, I think what happens is I mean, just the way you're saying it now is that you'll meet someone kind of in passing, and what happens is that you don't see it coming. It's like the left hook you don't see, and then you're the next thing you know you're getting off from the ground. You know what I mean? You sometimes someone just takes it. Just literally throws you for a loop. And when that happens is you can't ignore it. It's just human nature. It's physical attraction. I say it. It's when someone makes you go bananas on every, all your senses, then you can't ignore that. You can't, it'll happen. And marriage and all that other stuff, it'll come naturally. It won't be something that you go, damn it, do you think we should? You'll go, I want to marry this chick for real, just because they do that to you and they do it for you. And hopefully it's someone that just like you is just as selfish, because that sounds like the perfect person for you. Yeah. Like a professional, someone who's good at what they do. You're good at what you do. And then you just share a life. I think that's what really works. My wife works and she does her own thing, and we meet somewhere in the middle, but that's the best. I think that's the best thing nowadays, is not to have someone who's just constantly wondering what you're doing. It's kind of cool when they got their own thing happening and you guys just, hey, you do you want to have dinner tonight? I get in at 7. Yeah, well, I get in at 8, and then you wind up, that's kind of cool.
Dude, that was the most inspiring thing I've ever heard. What was it about your wife that made you go bananas?
Well, it was just everything. She was, she was driven. She was in college when we met 20 years ago. And she had these plans already, what she was going to do. And I was the dumb one. I was the guy that was like, yeah, but I make money, right? I was just working. And so, I just like that. Obviously, the initial attraction was there. She's super gorgeous, and I think that it just built from there. She was kind of like not the typical kind of chick that I was, just kind of used to meeting, just kind of real soft, delicate. And that, those kind of things you go, I like that. I like that in that person. Who wants a chick that's rougher than you?
Dude,
that's hard.
What happens when you have a kid? How immediately do you change as a person?
Immediate.
Yeah.
Almost instantaneous, man. Kids do something inexplicable to your life, man. It changes everything, and you just become more awesome of a human being, and they become awesome because of that. All your lessons, everything that you've learned, you'll be happy to share that. You'll be happy to teach somebody, whether it's a girl or a boy. It's super cool, man. I love my boys, so much, man, and they look to me for that advice most of the time. And
what cool. advice do you give them? Do you give them good advice?
I think I do. I think I don't know if it's good. I think it's sound. It's sound advice. Save money, save money, study, go to school, and I'll do my best to try to give them the best head start, maybe, home ownership and things like that kind of stuff that my parents didn't do for me. I want to do for them,
What is your approach to social media when it comes to parenting? Because when I have kids, dude, if I do, I don't care if it's the year 2031, my kid is getting a Razr phone from 2006. The internet scares me when it comes to phones. So what type of parent are you towards social media?
Well, obviously because of my business, I have to be like out of control with social media. But like you said, Snapchat, Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I mean, God, it's just too much for me sometimes. But my kids, my oldest son is 20, so it's a different look for him. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But my other son is 12, and we keep it Instagram and Facebook. Keep it real simple.
Dude, I would get nervous about that, though. I mean, don't you ever wonder if there's anybody out there that could be playing tricks on him, or is your son pretty smart where he would pick up on that?
Yeah, they're pretty smart. The first thing is you have to be a friend so that you can kind of see what's being posted and what other comments. So I think that's the first rule of thumb is you can have a Facebook page, but I have to be your friend on it. You know what I mean? Like we have to be connected because, kids want to stay connected. They talk about whatever, whether it's fashion or what happened. Like my son is a huge sports fan like his dad. And so, you gotta give them that,
Do you ever notice that your kid might be addicted to his cell phone? Because I am, dude. I swear to God, It's like intervention. I'm addicted to my phone. Is he?
It's bad. It's bad, man. It is so bad. I have to peel it from his claws. Man.
I'm the same way, dude. It's bad. Like if I don't have my phone or it dies or I lose it, I feel like I'm some crackhead from Baltimore trying to find my pipe, dude. Yeah. Like I begin shaking.
You feel like you're gonna die. Absolutely. See, I'm good. Like without a cell phone, I'm very good without it. But you have to with kids, I just took my son's phone today, it's like, all right, that's enough. And when we have dinner and things like that, it's like, turn it off. So
is he one of those kids that has to take a selfie every minute?
No, not at all.
That might be more of a girl thing.
Yeah. Neither one of my sons, do that too much, but I'm sure there are some that do.
I think selfies are weird, dude. I mean, I take them when I'm doing my radio show or if I'm talking to someone. But I'll be working these games here in town, and you just see all these kids taking selfies every single second, and they're not really appreciating the moment. It's very bizarre, bro.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I do selfies like, pre-show, travel, things like that. But it's not like, hey, laying down on the sofa watching TV. That shit just gets annoying.
Now, speaking of selfies, we all know that Gabriel Iglesias loves taking them. So let's move on to this. How did you meet him?
We actually, me and Gabriel, we started working together probably 7 years ago. He was at Gotham Comedy Club, and the club said, "Hey, Gabriel, wanted a Latino comedian," and we gave him your name, and he said, "Absolutely." And we met at that time, and we never really stopped being kind of friends. We were just distant, but over the past couple years, we've gotten closer. And so he asked me to join his tour. And I did his special Stand-Up Revolution on Comedy Central, and that was pretty cool. It was pretty nice to kind of work side by side with him. I kind of am learning quite a bit about comedy and myself through him.
What is it about him that you keep learning from? What does he do to the craft of comedy?
Well, to think that he's got over 20 years doing stand-up and he has just such an insatiable appetite for laughs, that he just wants to get laughs all the time. When he's on stage, he'll do a set for 2 hours, and it's all about the laughs, and I admire that, because I dream about laughter. I dream about getting laughs. And so, I think all the guys that really want to be great comics in their lifetime, I think that's one of the key things, is that you just never get tired of getting laughs, and you're working really hard to get them.
What is some of the best advice that he has given you about working the crowd and getting laughs?
Well, it's not so much advice as it is that he just lets you be in his space, when he's working. He's not the kind of guy that says, "Hey, I don't want you near the stage," or "Go back there," or "Don't come here." He doesn't mind when you're watching. And it's just, he's so good at his craft that in watching him, you learn. You just learn that. I mean, besides comedy, he's a great businessman. And so, those are the other qualities that I think comics fail to see, and I'm not that guy. I want it all. I want to learn as much as I can, because I don't want to waste any time.
What are some of the craziest things or any antics that have happened while being on tour with him?
Well, I think I guess a couple of things. One is we were in Hawaii doing a show for the U.S. military, and I was at the gym. I'm a big gym guy, and he calls me. He says, "Hey, we're sitting down. We just landed. Everybody's hungry. Come and eat." And I go, "Oh, damn it." I go, "I'm in the gym." He goes, "I don't care. Come and eat." And I get to him, and there is an order of pancakes the size of the entire table in the middle of the table for everyone. And they're called, I think, the Elvis Presley pancakes. It's pancakes, bananas, bacon, everything on the pancake. It was just insane. And think about the size of a table for like 12, and think about the pancakes being that size. I just never seen anything like that in my life. It was like a stack of pancakes. And I go, that is impossible for any human being to eat. Like, you have a piece of it and you're full. It was insane. It was just crazy. Crazy.
What are some of the best cities, and what are some cities that you don't like going to?
It's not that I don't like it. I think that some cities are just a little boring.
Yeah.
I don't want to shun any particular city, but I think sleeper cities are like Seattle, gorgeous city, fun, lots to do, lots of sightseeing. I think the typical, like, Miami is fun. You can be a comic by night and just a tourist in the daytime, and just go to the beach and hang out, have a drink or whatever. It's a great city to be in. California, obviously, there are so many cities in California that are beautiful. So I love going to any part of Cali, from San Diego all the way up to the Bay. I just love it. The ones that I could do without are just anything in Texas. I just don't need it. I am sorry. I don't want to, like, the food is phenomenal, but everything else is just like, all right, I'm okay without this.
Is it too crazy? Is it sort of like the craziness in Florida?
You see, I don't know. I see at least Florida's surrounded by, like, by beautiful beaches and things like that. I think that's what separates Florida, Plus, I think Florida's a little bit more mixy, like certain areas, it's just like a party. People love to party in Tampa, and they love to party in
Damn
Orlando,
right.
and they love to party out down in Miami and South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, even West Palm. I like. So funny. I love Florida. It's good, great visiting. Great place to visit. A lot of bugs. Ugh.
Dude, we have a lot of weird transplants down here, too. We'll have people from the East Coast, the West Coast. It is the most bizarre city I've ever been to, dude. Like, there's not that much culture here in Tampa Bay. It's very odd.
Yeah.
What are some places that you've visited on tour that have the most culture? Would it be like a New Orleans or a Chicago?
Yeah, well, Chicago, although Chicago has like a crazy mix of folks, they're very segregated in the way they operate.
Yeah.
One part of the city is for this and one part of the city is for that, and they really don't mingle like that. The cities that I enjoy, again, are like, if you go to Seattle, it's very liberal. People just enjoy life and they let you enjoy yours, whatever that means. If you like marijuana, go smoke marijuana. You like whatever, then do that. They're not trying to tell you how to live.
Would you say your act works best in liberal cities?
No, I just came from Iowa and Omaha, Nebraska, and I did Boise, Idaho. I mean, these are the states that you would figure are a little bit more tight ass, if you will, and they got it. They figured it out. They figured it out that it's just a guy just trying to figure out the stuff that's so super complicated, but it should be very simple.
What is the vibe like when you go to these small towns? Is it more weird or is it like laid back? Like, what's the vibe of going to like a Boise or a Rapid City?
It's like it's almost like they're seeing like Bigfoot, They see a guy from New York and they're blown away. They're just like, oh my God, you're from New York? That's enough for people. Some people, that's just enough. There's people I know that came out to the show in Iowa that's just like, oh, we saw you on Good Morning Iowa or whatever, and they said you were from New York and I loved your accent. That's why they came to see me. Had nothing to do with funny.
At least they're giving you sales. That is amazing to think that they would come to a show because you're from a big city. I think we seem to overlook that there are big cities in America, Mark, but there is a lot of open land,
Absolutely.
Now, before I let you go, dude, where do you want to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years, I've written, I've been, kind of in good luck all the time. I've written a pilot 3 times. I've sold a show 3 times. So I'm looking to finally get my show, my story on air, whether it be on USA or the movie channel. I don't care. I want people to see my story. I think it's a great story. And, I think I come from a place that's not so much philosophical, but it is deep. It is deep as a guy who was, didn't have a dad kind of growing up and is kind of learning as I go as a dad. So I think it's a good story. And even if that doesn't pan out, I just feel like funny will not be denied, man. You're going to see me on stage somewhere within the next 5 to 10 years, and it's either at a comedy club or in a theater. And wherever I am, I would have earned the right to be there. That's for sure.
Now, I have listeners all across America, not just in Tampa Bay. So what are some of your upcoming shows?
Well, I have Atlanta, Georgia, coming up this weekend, April Fool's weekend. I have I travel with Norwegian Cruise Line.
Nice.
Which is a great cruise line. I think it's one of the best at sea, especially when it comes to comedy, because they just know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm there pretty much for the whole month of April. And then when I come back, I'm in Sunnyvale, California, and I'm in LA for about 3 weeks in May. So I got a lot coming up.
Well, dude, keep up the good work. I love your aggressive attitude when it comes to comedy and your passion, but I love how humble and how genuine you are. So keep up the good work, dude, and I predict in 5 years you will have a show on FX.
Thank you, man, and we'll do it. That's fine with me.
Sounds good, dude. Keep up the good work, bro.
Thank you, Ryan. And thanks for having me on your show.
All right, bye.
You got it. Bye.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.